Welcome back to my channel. Maritzah here if you didn't know who I was. Today we are doing a colorful eyeshadow look and we're comparing two rainbow palettes. I mean, we are all rainbow palette out, to be honest. I know I am. After, you know, late 2018 and then 2019, we just got hit with a whole bunch of rainbow palettes, a whole bunch of color. Now, I appreciate color, but girl, I'm tired. But I'm very intrigued with these two palettes. And this is the LaRoc palette, which retails for $44.32. And this is not to be confused with the brand LaRoc. I say this again in the video, not the one that you see at like Kohl's and like Sephora and Ulta and stuff like that. Not that brand. This is totally different. This brand is UK based. And then this is the BPerfect Carnival X Pro palette with Stacey Marie, who is a makeup artist, and this is the palette. They're both huge. Like, look how big they are compared to my face. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be comparing these two palettes. However, they're actually not in competition with each other. I just wanted to compare it because they're two rainbow palettes. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to find shades that are similar to each other in each palette and then putting them on my eye and seeing how they look compared to each other. So even though that there's no real competition between these two palettes, like, I mean, yeah, you can say there's competition because they're two businesses and businesses are always competing with each other. Trust me, there's an intended audience for both of these palettes, and I highly doubt that they were competing with each other. Though it is marketing, so everybody is competing with each other, there's no competition here. There's not. So if you want to see how I feel about these two palettes, how they play out, just go ahead and keep on watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and let's get into it. So first I'm going to go in with my Makeup Revolution Cut Crease Canvas in the shade Create. This is an eye primer. I am in love with this thing. Like, I've been practicing a couple looks with this and it is amazing. It is as good as the way everybody was raving over it. And I say everybody, I mean the people in the beauty community. So like the creatives, the ultra creative people, they love this and I see why. It's a really great eyeshadow primer. So I usually don't do my eyes first. We know this here, but I think I may not, don't know how I feel, may do a cut crease, may not. I don't know. Every time I tried to do one with these eyeshadows, it looks so bad, so I'm not sure, but just in case, we are going to do our eyes first. So I'm actually not going to set this with powder. The reason I'm not going to set it with powder is because I want the colors to be true to whatever it is in the pan, and I want them to be pigmented. So typically when you powder your eye primer or your concealer on your eyes, it tones down the eyeshadow, which I like, but for the sake of comparing two rainbow palettes and we want to see what these two rainbow palettes have to offer, we're gonna just go straight in with the shadow and we're not gonna powder down the primer. First palette that I have is the LaRoc palette, so that will go here on the left side. This palette is bigger than my head, but what I like about this palette is it gives you your neutrals up here, you know, your transition shades, your browns, all that, and then down here you have your colors, and it appears to be every color in the rainbow here. So this cute little palette here retails for $44.32. This is also found on Boohoo. But on Boohoo it's $75. Now that's a lot for a palette. Now I don't know why it's $75 at Boohoo. I don't know. I wouldn't order from Boohoo. I would order from LaRoc themselves. So if you do order from LaRoc, they are UK based, so the shipping is a little different. So it's going to take a little bit of time, and also you got to remember we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so it might take a little bit longer. With this palette here, we are going to be taking the shade Ice Cream. I might go in with Ice Cream here as my transition shade, and we're just gonna put that in the crease, and let's see what this palette is working with. I mean, I already know what this palette is working with. I've done this video before. It just didn't come out the way I wanted to, so I'm trying again, and I already know how these shadows perform, but you guys may not know, so I'm not gonna spill the beans just yet. but I already know. So I'm just taking this in the crease and I'm just gonna blend it. Oh, I need a mirror. This is heavy and it's huge. So right off the bat, I will say the pigmentation is there, but it's almost the same as if you were to powder your eye primer or your concealer before putting on your eyeshadow. That's what this is giving me, but it's also buildable. So that first layer, it looked like just like if you were to powder your eye base or your concealer before putting on eyeshadow. But the more I build it up, the more the pigmentation comes out. So you can see it's definitely gaining its pigmentation. So I'm just taking a fluffy brush and diffusing the edges a little bit, just so it's not too harsh. So that was the shade Ice Cream. So Ice Cream is a little bit of a orangey reddish brown. It's a cute little transition shade. Again, like I said, it is buildable, but the first blend of it, it's not that intense. So keep that in mind, because I'm going to bring out the next palette, which is the BPerfect palette. So here it is, the BPerfect Carnival X Pro palette, Stacey Marie makeup artist. So Stacey Marie is a content creator on YouTube. I mean, sorry, Instagram. She may have a YouTube, but I know her from, I've seen her Instagram. She's really, really creative. So I understand why she delivered this palette right here. I get it. This palette gives you, again, your neutrals here, and then your colors, and then these are some highlighters. So she's very creative, so it makes sense, and she does creative looks, like kind of like doing art on her face. So it makes sense why she would give us a rainbow palette. So let's see how their neutral performs against the LaRoc neutral. So I'm gonna take the shade Basic, and I'm taking that same brush. I did clean it off, and I'm just gonna go in. Well, first I lied. I'm creasing. So when you do crease, have creasing when it comes to your eye primers before you put on eyeshadow. You definitely want to blend it out the same way you want to blend out your concealer. So taking this, and that initial color is right there. It's like packed on, like straight punch, like came out the front door swinging. I know it's back door swinging, but this is the front door. So this blends like butter. It's super smooth. It's really pigmented. I like it. They're almost similar colors, like how I told you about how like they're that reddish brown. It's just that the BPerfect one already came out with pigment. As soon as I loaded it up, it was straight pigment. I don't necessarily have to go in with another color, with another coat. I will, but it's not like the LaRoc. Alright, so taking that same brush to diffuse the edges, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Okay, so right off the bat with these two colors, this side is more pigmented. Now this side is definitely, there's pigment there, but it's not coming out the gate swinging. It's not doing that. It is literally just a good eyeshadow. Whereas this one, it's like, hey, I'm here. So next we're gonna take another color from the LaRoc palette, and we're just going to add dimension. So I do want to cut the crease some way. I don't know if I'm going to do an outer cut crease or if I'm going to be doing a like half cut crease. So I want to deepen this. I think I'm going to go in with the shade Chai. Chai looks a little bit darker. So Chai is right here. Ooh. I'm going to go in with the shade Chai, and we shall see. Ooh. Ooh. That was pigmented. Okay. I see you, Chai. Alright, I'm gonna take that same clean fluffy brush. Ooh, if I don't drop it. Ugh. All right, so same clean fluffy brush, and I'm just going to blend this all together. All right, that is, it's not bad. I just don't know where I'm going with this. All right, so with BPerfect, let's see if we can find a shade similar to Chai. So Chai was like a warmish orangey brown, whereas the first color, it was like a pinky orangey brown. So there's less pink in the second color. So we're gonna find a shade here that is like that. I think I'm gonna go with Sunburn here. It's a Sunburn. I think I'm gonna go in with Sunburn. Huh, interesting. That is different. Oh, I lied. The shade is not called Sunburn. It is called Slow Burn. I can't read. It's really interesting. Alright, so this is coming out a little bit orangey. I'm pretty shocked with this one. So I'm going to clean off that clean fluffy brush. And then I'm going to blend it all together. Interesting. That is interesting. So what's interesting is these two shades aren't blending together, whereas these two shades on this eye, they blended together really well. It was actually a little scary, whereas these two aren't really blending that well into each other. So that's the interesting part. Maybe if I switch brushes. I tried to blend it as best as I could, but these two shades together are not blending well at all. So now I'm going to take the LaRoc palette, and with the LaRoc palette I'm going to go in with, I think I'm going to use Brownie. So Brownie is this shade here, and I'm going to use that same like thin detailed blending brush, and I'm placing that a little underneath my crease. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing with this eye look. Okay, so I went ahead and blended out Brownie, and then I used the fluffy brush to diffuse it, and it really came out nice the way it blended together. So now we're gonna have to find a shade similar to Brownie in the BPerfect palette, and hopefully it blends, but we'll see. So I think the shade Intuition is the closest thing I'll get to Brownie, because Brownie is like that deep brown shade and it has like a little bit of purple in it, whereas this I think it's just gonna be like a true to brown. So I'm gonna take that same small detail brush, gonna clean it off. So I'm taking Intuition and okay, so I went ahead, used Intuition, blended it out. My thoughts on that, my thoughts on the transition shades. LaRoc did better. Now, I said in the intro that it's not really a competition. It's just me doing the verses as in like comparing these two, but they're not necessarily in competition with each other, because I told you guys in the intro that there is a target audience. And the BPerfect side, the shade Intuition and Slow Burn blended together better than Basic and Slow Burn. So I don't know, someone keep that in mind if you are purchasing the BPerfect palette. Looks like Basic is pretty basic. It's not doing what it needs to do. So I cut the crease, and now we're gonna go in with the colorful colors. So I'm actually gonna take the Stacey Marie palette first, and we're gonna go from the rainbow but backwards. So Roy G Biv, so violet first. I'm gonna take the shade here, Wasted. This purple shade here. That's the only purple shade in the palette too. Pack that. y'all see that purple? You guys see that purple? It's pretty pigmented. It's pretty pigmented. So like that's what I mean. Like straight out the bat, it's like straight off the bat. Is it straight at the bat? Straight off the bat? I don't know what I've been saying, but whatever it is, you know what I mean. It is like a Crayola color. Like Crayola is not gonna give you dollar store crayons. They're going to give you color. And I'm not saying that LaRoc is dollar store. I'm just saying that the pigment here is Crayola crayons. LaRoc is giving you rose art. So I'm going to be taking the shade Fizzy Grape right here and doing the same thing. I wiped off the brush. It is clean. Can I just see? Okay. And mirror. I'm taking that on the corner just like I did on the other side, and that's pretty pigmented too. Oh, she's giving it to us today. So next is blue, which honestly, when it comes to eyeshadow, blue is my favorite color for eyeshadow. Next to purple. I don't know, it just does something for brown eyes. So the blue shade I'm gonna go in with is this one right here, which is Make Waves. And next to the purple, oh, she is pigmented. That is pigment, baby. And it gave you, it gave me this cute little in-between shade of the purples. It just blended really well together all on its own. Alright. Honestly, I don't need to do any blending of that because it did it for me. We love that. So with LaRoc, I'm going to be taking the shade Shy. This shade right here, Shy. Ooh, yeah, I don't like that. That should have been just the mirror. I'm going to take the shade Shy. Okay, we're going to use a different brush. I'm taking one of these Anastasia Beverly Hills brushes, and I'll use that since it's a little bit more precise. So that's what it's giving you. Like I said, it's not as pigmented, not as in your face, and in your face isn't bad in this case. It's just not giving you what this side is giving you. It's just not. So next is Roy G Biv. So violet, blue. What's indigo? Wait, no. Biv. So it's violet, indigo, blue. Okay, well we don't have indigo, so I went with blue. So it's after blue. Roy G Biv. So green. So you're taking this shade here, which is the Hype. She is giving. So for the green on the LaRoc side, I'm going to be taking the shade, I'm going to be taking the shade Potion down here. Again, it's not as pigmented, that's okay. I'm going to go in with Carnival and the red, Roy G Biv. Okay, so next we're going in with yellow. So next we're going to go in with the yellow shade, and I'm going to be taking the shade here that's called Keen. This one right here. And I'm going to place it next to the green. I switched to a cleaner brush just because yellow is one of those colors that, I don't know, it always has issues when it comes to picking up on the brush, and then it has issues with being on your eye, and it's just, yellow is just an annoying color. But I am not mad at that yellow. So when I first did this video, I was mad at the yellow, but I'm not that mad. I'm just gonna pack a little bit more on that yellow, because yellow in general, I don't care who makes a yellow eyeshadow, it will never be super yellow like the sun. It will never be like that. It will look super yellow in the pan, but it will not be yellow when it gets on your eye. So next I'm gonna go in with the shade Circus from LaRoc. Circus is obviously yellow because we're still working on the yellows. So this is Circus here. And I'm gonna place that next to the green on this eye. Okay, that's powdery as shit. It's powdery. This yellow is very powdery, which is not uncommon with yellow eyeshadows. I find the yellow eyeshadows that I've always used have always been like super powdery. I don't know why. I don't know why yellow is such an awful shade for eyeshadow, but it is. I am not a fan of yellow eyeshadow. Never have been, never will be. Yeah, so my thoughts on the LaRoc side still stand. It's not as pigmented, and you'll realize that with these colors, they give you more of a, not neon, but like if neon lights were dimmed, that's what the LaRoc side is giving you. It's giving you a very dimmed neon. So next for BPerfect, so Roy. So we're on the ROY, so we just did Y, so we're on O. What? We're on O. And I'm gonna be taking the shade Lit, which is right here. So that is really nice. It actually kind of transitioned easy for the red, for the next and last color. So it's actually really nice. I really like, in the sense of the rainbow aspect of this, I really like the BPerfect side. So for orange on the LaRoc side, I'm gonna go in with the shade Burnt, which is right here. Place it next to the yellow. It didn't really blend well together, just like how the BPerfect side did. This one didn't really blend well together. Honestly, none of these, some of them have blended well together, so I think that the purple, the blue, and the green blended nicely together, but then like yellow, it just wasn't there. It wasn't present. So lastly, for the BPerfect side, for Miss R, we're gonna go in with the shade Inferno, which is down here. Now I already have some thoughts on this shade here, but I'll let you guys see. I just have mixed feelings about this shade. But I have mixed feelings about all red shades. Actually, my feelings just went away. Oh my god. I actually did not like this red shade when I first put it on. When I first did my first couple looks of this, my first attempts of filming, I did not like this red shade. But I actually like it. I like the way it blended together. It's really nice. So straight off the bat, gives you red. Before, it was not giving me red. It was giving me like a reddish orange, but this actually gave me red. So this side of the rainbow is done. And then for the LaRoc side, to finish off the rainbow, we're gonna go in with the shade Psycho, which is right here. Alright, so that is it for the eyes. I'm gonna finish the rest of my face, but I'm also gonna show you guys the Fenty cream bronzers. Not bronzers, blushes. I've been meaning to do a video on this, and because there's one shade that I really love, I'm gonna add it to this look, so I'll also incorporate that in the video. But I'm talking too much, so I'm just gonna go ahead and finish my face off camera. I went ahead and finished off the eyes. I added the Stila Little White Lies in the shade Yellow Tails across my crease, and then bringing it down into the tear duct. And I also did my waterline in the colors from each palette. And now we're gonna do the blush, which I told you guys I would show you, and it's the Fenty cream blushes, and this is in the shade Daiquiri Dip. I actually really like these cream blushes. The only thing is I don't think they're worth $20. And the reason why I say that is because it's super tiny, but like a little goes a long way. But it's also like, I was expecting it to be a little bit bigger. This is like a travel size of a blush, but They're still really cute, and I'm going to show you guys, if you've never used cream products before, what kind of brush is best and how to apply it. So let me go ahead and grab the brush I need, and we're gonna apply some blush. But the kind of brush you need is like this dense, like it's not super dense. You don't want it too much of a dense brush. You want a kabuki brush that's somewhat dense but still a little bit fluffy, and it's angled. And the reason why I say angled is because it's easier for you to do the placement here, and it just hits the cheek perfectly right here. So I'm gonna dip it in here, and that's it. And honestly, this shade is pigmented, see that? But it's a subtle pigment. Like, these cream blushes are for when you do like a no makeup look, or if you're using a tinted moisturizer. It's not really supposed to be like your typical powdered blush where it's like, hey, you have one blush, like, whoa, you have one blush. It's not supposed to be that. However, you can build it up that way, but I think this blush goes perfectly. And you're gonna do like pouncing motions, stippling motions. You're not gonna drag it, you're just gonna pat it onto your cheeks. So you can build it up. So that's really nice about these blushes. They are buildable, some of the colors, not all of them. I know this is Daiquiri Dip, so the other one I have is Fuego Flush, which is this one. I really like this one for like wearing a tinted moisturizer, because it also gives a highlight. So does this one, it gives a nice little highlight. But some of the shades you actually can't build up. I only wanted those two, but there are really nice cream blushes. I know a lot of people were saying in their videos that some of them they didn't like some people didn't like the whole collection, some people liked the collection. I only like certain shades. I picked the two that I did like. They work for me in different ways, and yeah, these are the Fenty cream blushes. So final thoughts on these two palettes. So this first palette here, the LaRoc palette, what I have to say about this is, I said it a little bit in the video, this is great for people who are starting out with makeup, or you're moving past just blending out your neutrals and you want to start with color. It's easy for you to blend. It's not super harsh where you're like, oh my god, I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do, because of like how pigmented it comes right off the brush. This is really great for people who just want to tone down the eyeshadow look, who are looking for something that is colorful but it's not super vibrant. I do like this palette. I do find some of the colors a little tricky. They're not like, you know, true to color per se like this eye is, but you still get a blue, you still get a green. You can make this work. I wouldn't suggest this for people who do creative makeup. I would not. This is definitely, you're way past this, okay? You're past this. You're looking for something that's super pigmented. You're looking for something that right off the brush, it's given it to you. This palette won't do that for you. You're gonna spend a lot of time trying to build it up. Some colors may not build up, some colors will, but you're gonna be spending a lot more time with it than you intend to. So as for the BPerfect Carnival X Pro palette with Stacey Marie, this palette is the palette for the creatives. So if you are into doing like skull looks, or like putting art on your face or your body, and you need to set your creams with powder, like, you know, your flash palette, this is for you, because it gives you Crayola color. Like, it's straight off the bat, this is blue and I'm gonna give you blue. Now, some of the neutral colors were a little bit hard to blend. We saw that with that one brown shade and that orangey brown shade, but I feel like, you know, sometimes that happens in a palette. Sometimes two colors don't always blend well together, but for the rest of it, it blended nicely. You saw that with the purple and the blue, how it transitioned into like that indigo color that I forgot to put in for the rainbow, but it's a really nice palette. It blends like butter, a lot of the colors. So it's not like one of those palettes where you're like, okay, a lot of these are misses and a lot of these are hits. It just, you know, some combinations may not be the greatest together, but sometimes that happens in a palette. Sometimes two colors may not work well together, but they may work well with another color in the palette. So it's not that big of a deal, and it's not that bad. But I do like this palette. I will be using this palette for when I do creative work and I need that extra oomph, or just like I'm looking for extra oomph with my colors. I will still use this palette as well, especially like because I do the toned down colorful eyeshadow looks when I powder my concealer, but this is pretty much intended for those who are just starting out. You can tell with this palette is definitely for, you know, beginners, or you know, you're in that in-between phase, and or you're just not looking for a palette that is gonna scream pigment at you. And that's okay. You don't necessarily have to be a beginner because of that. It's just, you know, your preference may be something that's a little bit more toned down. So that is how I feel about these two palettes. I think that they're great both on their own. Like I said in the intro, they aren't necessarily a competition. They're not like, okay, I created the better rainbow palette. No, I did. You can tell that there's two different audiences when this palette comes to mind, especially because Stacey Marie herself is very creative and very talented with her makeup. She does a lot of artistic looks, so it makes sense why you're going to need something that's very pigmented. This, on the other hand, a makeup company said, hey, look, we need a rainbow palette, and they made a rainbow palette. There was no, okay, we need to make sure that we have our, you know, Pablo Picasso makeup artist using this palette. Though they may use this palette, it may not be, you know, their intended audience. So my thoughts are, I like both of these palettes. I will be using these palettes. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me do this versus. Maybe I'll make it a series on my channel if you guys give me suggestions on what two palettes I could compare. But that's it for the video. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. And if you want to pick these up, they will be linked down below. See you in my next one, guys. Bye.